What's going on, creators? Yeah, just want to get on here and bring everybody back to now. Appreciate y'all being here and vibing with me for a bit. Yeah, today I got a couple things I want to talk about. One of which is like what I feel like is the most important thing is spending the present moment feeling good, and not spending that present moment in fear and torment and what if and worst case scenarios and what if the they's coming to get me, and all of these narratives that we are afraid of that ultimately are stemming from our beliefs in separation. And, before we dive real deep into that, that's a lot to unpack. But, the first thing that you can really start to do is just changing your mental diet. It's no different than your food diet. If you notice that you're starting to get overweight and you're starting to get unhealthy, generally, powers within your own self to, put the junk shit down and start focusing on eating healthy, maybe exercising. The same thing is true with your mental diet. If you're sitting there spending most of your time spinning out, getting pissed off at strangers, if you're on social media and just getting triggered by all these idiots and basically everybody being the opposite of what you believe, and then lashing out at them, attacking them, putting vengeance on them, which is normal, for the old man to do. It's normal for me to do, at least. It's just, something that seems like a threat. You just want to attack it and destroy it and be done with it and move on. But getting more and more into states of, I want to say just allowing, because, if you see somebody getting attacked and you sit there and do nothing, that's one thing. But, by allowing, it's just letting people walk their own path without trying to shake them and make them believe your life experience for them too. If that makes sense. It's like I've spent years, in the truth community where it's just you see through it with the veils of all this bullshit. Especially when it comes to the present day drama with the pandemic and everything else, and all of these organizations that are acting tyrannical. And people just don't seem to understand the world in which they live, even the illusion in which they live. It just by their own. If you're just going to believe the world's story of itself, even that falls apart. It's like with the CDC. You can start getting into who funds the CDC. Most people think it's the government. Part like taxpayers. It's just like the Federal Reserve is like a private cartel of bankers. The CDC is funded by corporations and just business interests. Most of this shit is business interests when you really start to take a step back out of it. And a lot of people think the government's this all powerful godlike force. A lot of people maybe that don't have faith look at the government in that way, but a lot of it is business, and a lot of it is, these conspiracies and conspiring. It's very common for people to get together to work out deals. So it's such a trigger, and a trigger word basically. It just stirs in all of this tinfoil hat, nut job mentality, almost like just propaganda, really, because a lot of it's just calling facts that just are counter to the narrative conspiracy. And it's just so absurd to sit there and wrestle with it and then lose your peace over the absurdity. You can spend, that's part of the downward spiral. It's just falling for the madness, and then is this America? As Owen Benjamin would say. I've been watching a lot of his stuff. I find him really funny. I find most comedians, I kind of gravitate towards comedians because I like laughing and having fun, and so I always like listening to comedians just kind of just rant and rave and all that, and podcasts, and I like the energy of that. And is this America? I find that funny, but part of this thing then too is just then the hopelessness that goes with that, where it's just oh my gosh, my utopian view of society is now crumbling, and it's from my perspective, this shit's been going on for 20 years, since 9/11 and the lies that led to Afghanistan, Iraq, and weapons of mass destruction, and the terror, it's just a continuation of that, and once you realize that that there's people out there that don't give a fuck about other people, things start making a lot more sense when you realize the predatory nature of those people. And really, it's almost like allows you to take a step out of it, because like most good people have a hard time putting themselves in that mindset, and so they don't think anybody else is capable of that, which is really naive, especially historically, and just like people in your own circles. I mean, you should be able to see like some people just aren't the same in the way that they empathize with others. A lot, and not to sit there and like condemn them people either. I mean, you're supposed to be praying for everybody, and everybody's kind of representing states of conscious anyway. And when you start to see like maybe predatory things or something about others that's really triggering and like kind of disturbing, really check yourself then at that point and see if you're guilty of that on some level, because a lot of times the they turns out to be you. As crazy as that sounds, it's like you become what you judge. Maybe is a less harsh way of saying that, but even amongst the truth community, when you take a big step back, you start seeing how a lot of like what people are afraid of, what they promote, what they're speaking, what's on people's minds and hearts comes out of their mouth eventually. And you start, hearing like the same kind of, oh, they're coming to kick down the doors and they're going to shove this poison in your body, and they're going to round you up and put you in camps, and you know how it's like, oh, you can't go outside without them spraying nanoparticulates on you, and the wind is caused by these people, and oh, it's a gusty wind, so they're terraform. It's just like all of these godlike attributes people put on elite people, but in spiritual terms, the elites are the children of God. And so and by taking a bigger step back, by what you're speaking out there, a lot of times that shit is seeds that's coming back to confront you then too. And then so you start seeing like the they, like the synagogue of Satan type people, and then it's just like it's everywhere. You can't get around it, you can't get away from it. And it feels like it's just this force that's threatening constantly. But once you unplug from the systems that they have a lot of influence and control on, which is mostly the media, which is another huge illusion. If people really understood, what goes into making media, the veil should start to come off. I mean, it's not magic, and with the right lighting and sound, and actors that are able to be convincingly authentic, I guess, maybe like an authentic character. People just believe that, or just people dressed in authority. I mean, there's like a really famous study, but probably most people maybe know this. For the ones that don't, check this out. The Milgram study. And I think it's that study. But there's a couple when it comes to obedience to authority that are shocking. Not so much shocking when you start to see these patterns reemerge. And I have, like, after going through this entire experience, I have a lot more understanding about how large-scale death rituals kind of manifest, and how a lot of it's consent, even though it may not seem that way. And I can kind of maybe unpack that in a little bit. But like with the Milgram study, it was basically you had a participant on the other side of the glass that was in on it, that was pretending to get electrocuted. You had the sucker that was like actually thinking he was electrocuting the other person. It wasn't actually hooked up, but he didn't know that. And then you had the scientist, or the professor, some white lab coat authority figure, telling him, instructing him that every time this person answers this question in a way that they weren't wanting, they answered it wrong or whatever, to gradually shock this person and increase the voltage to the point of like a lethal amount of electricity, and the majority of people would do it. Just normal people, your neighbors would do it. Which is, part of that, I guess, was like in response to the Nazis and the Holocaust and concentration camps and this and that. And I know some people may question that. I talk, this is just my firsthand experience with talking to a veteran. I was in college, and I was like a media and public communication major, and so I was like in a film class, and we had to do like a documentary style project. And so in my project, I interviewed soldiers from like World War II, and then at the time, Iraq, because that was what was going on when I was in college. And so the guy I interviewed, he was in World War II, and he was actually in Korea, which my grandpa, he was in Korea too, but like, I don't know much about that, it just kind of gets hidden, under the rug type. It's almost like World War One, where it's just like, so the entire world went into a global conflict because some fuckhead Duke got shot. Really? It's like, how does that happen? How do you get all these like 18-year-olds to just charge in no man's land and get mowed down by machine guns because some archduke gets assassinated? I mean, there's a lot of weirdness with that, especially the license plate, and all sorts of stuff you can really get into. But like, I kind of lost my train of thought. You're thinking about like World War One, but yeah. But talking to that guy, he was actually part of a force that liberated a couple concentration camps, and he's a complete stranger to me. I ended up calling like the V. I can't remember if I called the VA or if I called like a what is that? There's like a bar where a lot of veterans go. I don't remember, the Legion or something like that. It's just like a little club or something. So I called around as I said, for anybody who's World War II veteran that anybody knew that would be interested in just sitting down for an hour and just telling their story, and then people would or my college would watch it, and yeah, and so ended up hooking that up and getting involved with that and started talking to this guy, and there's like no reason that I feel like he would lie to me. He seemed very authentic and real and genuine, and like he was telling me one of the camps that he was part of, like liberating or whatever, like the Jews that were inside were so like excited that they were being saved, that they were like swarming them and like yeah, basically preventing like the soldiers from shooting the Nazis or like capturing the Nazis. And he was just saying there's death everywhere, like people were stacked up like wood piles, of just dead bodies and shit. And so, as far as like media narratives and everything's go, as far as like some of the atrocities, that's just from talking to somebody who was there that I believe what he was saying, and so, that's just my perspective on it. But like, looking at those, and I ended up watching a documentary by Steven Spielberg, which you may or may not be triggered by him as a human being, but like this documentary kind of went down that same path of like how did this happen? It's like interviewing a bunch of Jews about it, and it was just like this incremental thing, which very a lot of commonalities to the people that are just blindly being obedient to this narrative, and yeah, and so like a lot of people, and I don't want to put this out there like this is what's happening, but this is just what I'm thinking, even though it might be disturbing. But it's like when it comes to the society that we're in. I mean, I've already experienced a lot of like the divisions and shit with people years ago, so this is not shocking or surprising. I experienced it without like the obvious manifestation of the Facebook or shit going on, and like at the same time, don't look at those people as being hopeless cases or whatever, or like wishing bad on them, but allow at the same time, I kind of just have got to a point of just accepting that they're just in fear, hopefully that God wakes them up and they don't continue on that path of ultimately like self-destruction, it looks like, but like looking at even like death as being part of life, and this, and people make their own choices on things, and not to sit there and like judge somebody for maybe wanting to die. Who am I to judge them for that? I mean, I don't know what their life's like, but like it seems like with like just some of the documentary type things, it's like just being obedient, and then what was shocking about that documentary is a lot of the Jews, which I had a misconception, I guess, that like the Nazis like kicked down their doors and dragged them out of their homes, and maybe that happened, but from just that documentary, it made it sound like a lot of them drove themselves to the trains, and then didn't realize that they were getting relocated to like work camps or vineyards or something like that, and then were shocked when they ended up at like Auschwitz, which if you start looking at that kind of almost like a spell, which I feel like a lot of like this drama is happening again to the Jews, maybe and I think by Jews it's all of a sudden triggering of like people from Israel, but it's like biblically what is a Jew? It's like the ones that follow the law, that God's chosen people. We all start off as Jews. Jesus was a Jew, and so, what does that really mean? And I think that's some of these things that are getting unpacked slowly, starting to learn what that means more and more so. But it seems like, just from the outside looking in, that this continuing obeying this external government as God, these experts as like these godlike figures, is then all of a sudden leading down this path, which is really, being sparked by a fear of death and hysteria, which a lot of that's not real. A lot of that's just make-believe stories, that the WWE wrestling of information, the cable news networks just they peddle stories. It's not, people have this misconception again that, this is reality. It's not reality. It's a perspective on reality, no different than anybody else's perspective on reality. But wearing a suit and tie and staring into the screen like a snake and hypnotizing you, just with I can find you 5 experts that totally disagree with everything that's being said. And they have the same pedigrees, the same Ivy League credentials. They're saying saying this, another saying that. I can find you somebody that's Ivy League, is telling you live in a simulation. It's like, at what point do you start focusing your faith in a direction that makes sense? And so part of like moving in a direction of joy and peace and hope is your mental diet. So it's like you start to realize, okay, well, I'm spinning out on all these stories, all this shit's starting to just really trigger me and starting to really freak me out, and I'm starting to get worried and concerned. I'm losing hope. It seems like evil's winning. All these types of narratives and the stories that you tell yourself. I believe, like, when the Bible's talking about like powers and principalities, they're inwardly, these powers that we attribute to this outside world, because I feel like nothing in the physical world is by accident or coincidence. I feel like it's all controlled by God, even though it might appear on the surface to be like, what the fuck is happening? It seems like chaos. It seems like a hell realm. But when you start to realize, how when you be still and you start to get more present and you start to connect with, ultimately stop connecting with your thoughts of fear and start connecting with God, with love, with joy, with the fruits of the Spirit, you start to realize that reality functions a lot like a big mirror, showing you your assumptions, your beliefs, your inner man identity externalized. It's like your thoughts, your beliefs, your assumptions, all is being externalized and being mirrored back to you. And it's impersonal. It doesn't care if you're identifying as being poor or rich. It doesn't care if you identify as being unhealthy or healthy. Either state, it will externalize. And so as you start to realize that it's like, oh, well, God doesn't seem to, God created all the states. Creation's finished. So it's like, in the old man, there's all these states of suffering, and then the according, the reflection of that, the separation, the fear, the hell realm, basically. But with a shift in identity to the new man, you start to experience more connectivity, more connectedness, the oneness, love, joy. It's like your faith being externalized. Your faith in the good, the true, the beautiful, as again Owen Benjamin, the Bears would say. But not to get too much of a fanboy or anything, but it's just like looking at reality differently. And if you're getting triggered constantly in these patterns, every time you get on a screen, you start getting a warped sense of reality or a distortion. Just until you're able to look at it without the narratives and the story, maybe put it away for a while. You can revisit it. There's been plenty of times that me personally, I had to let things go. And then, maybe elevate in consciousness, let go of fears, let go of those things that are just kind of anchoring to these different maybe hopeless states, and then looking out into the void and seeing on the screen of space more and more confirmation. Oh, look, I'm right. Well, what happens is you drop those beliefs. There's a period where it almost feels uncomfortable, where you're doing something different. But the more that you hold on to that new identity, say you're used to being scarcity, not enoughness. Oh, there's not enough money, there's not enough people, not enough friends, not enough jobs, not enough resources, not enough, to abundance, where it's like, oh, plenty of that. It might feel weird at first, and you might face the resistance that this is why you believe these things coming to the surface. Oh, I believe scarcity is real because X, Y, and Z, and that comes up in your mind, X, Y, and Z, this is why I believe it. And then, oh, magically, now it's starting to manifest. So this is why I believe it. Look, it's happening again, obviously. But not making the connection as manifesting, because that resistance is now manifesting for you to then walk through it in faith and go past it. So it's like you get the fear, and a lot of times that fear will manifest. And if you believe that's real, and then it manifests, then it's like it can force you to believe it even more. Or you can start to go, this isn't real, because as I believed that, then all of a sudden this just happened. Maybe the first time it happens, you're like, well, whatever. But it's a repeatable, testable pattern that you can see for yourself over and over again, to a point where it gets almost laughable. It's like, oh, well, why am I? And as your mind starts to become renewed in like the new man that you are, the new man in Christ, you start to see that connectivity more and more in others and in everything. And so a lot of times, when you're in the old man, you see like the negatives in yourself being externalized through others. And then you sit there and you judge and condemn others, and what you're saying is that's what you're doing to yourself. Well, once you realize that that's self-destructive and you don't want to hurt yourself anymore, you start to extend forgiveness. Seeing that negative in another, because and knowing that was either once in you or who you were. Once you make that identification, that's not who I am anymore. That's the old story. You start becoming then open to a new story, and so, there's like, same thing with hopelessness. I really want to just put out a more hopeful vibe, because it seems like, just dipping into the truth community, it's just one fucking pity party thing after the next. It's like, you get out of it then. It's like you do not have to keep staring into stop watching Babylon burn and just live your life, your new life. And it's like every bit of everything that's going on is on some level consent based. And even though it may not feel like that, even though it feels like, oh yeah, there's a bunch of leverage, leverage on me right now, you don't have to sit there and continuously deal with that. And until you make the first step, you be the change that you wish to see, because then as you be it, it'll start to manifest. Try it, try it out for yourself. Even put it on, because the inner man's always being externalized. And that inner man, and that connectedness, ask, believe, receive. You're not alone. You don't have to figure this thing out on your own. It's already been figured out for you. And that's the biggest part of this thing, is it's already happening now. Now is the only time that the spiritual attacks happen. It's like, are you holding your peace now, or are you not? And that's the only question that matters. What's going on within you now? That's it. It's not it's some impending thing in the future. It's today, right now, in this moment. It's like, are you embodying what you want to be? Are you feeling the way you would feel if that was real? Are you putting on that identity, that new man that you are, or woman? It's like, I don't think you are like invisible. I mean, you're like the dreamer of the dream, if that makes sense. But we're all dreaming. We're all connected. Not to say that you're the only thing in existence, but there's a uniqueness, and then there's a connectedness to all things. So and it's like, at the end of it, it's all part of God. It's all part of God's consciousness. It's like, celebrating like the uniqueness is like a snowflake. You can't. Every single snowflake's different. It's like creation is I don't know how to describe it other than a unique everything is unique. There's no two things the same. Even twins or clones. If you were experienced enough of it, there would be just a different frequency. Maybe it's a different state of consciousness, even though it might be at first very similar. But yeah, I just wanted to get on here and share that. Hopefully share some hope with people, because it's like, again, it's impersonal, so you can be hopeless. It's all about what you're being. If you're being hopeless, guess what? You're going to see all of these things outside of you that's going to affirm that identity of hopelessness, which is an identity of the old man, which is what you're not. You are hope, and ultimately you are these things. It's like, that's what you are. And as you let go of that old man belief that you're hopeless, there is no hope. It's like, God's in control, and everything's happening for a purpose, a reason. There's no accident, and there's no coincidence. It's deliberate. But the question is, why is it happening? Well, if you're in a state, because it's impersonal, that's what happens in that state. If you're in a state of fear, suffering's attached to it. It's the nature of that identity. And that identity is an illusion, because ultimately you can't be separate from God. So part of the suffering is believing that you are separate from God. But that's something you figure out on your own through your own life and your own life experiences. And like I said, if some people choose, whatever the people are choosing, to respect that, allow people to walk their path, but also be available. If someone asks for help, that's totally different than somebody who's balls into whatever they're doing. It just is what it is. And so, other than that, I just wanted to share some of that. Hopefully, that brings, maybe just a nugget of like, oh, I can choose hope. And it's like, put that identity on. How would you feel to know that God's in control and there's nothing to worry about? Everything's going to work out perfectly. You can be, do, or have anything. It's already been given to you. You can connect, because as soon as you feel it and embody it, you get a ask, believe, receive, and it's yours. And it's like, I listen to a lot of Neville Goddard, mainly because of he used a lot of biblical references, and like I guess like maybe the stumbling block I've had with that is like imagining like the details. Like that seems like an old man way of doing things. It's like, oh, if this, and this, and then I can be happy. Try to connect, if you have like these desires that pop up, in that moment that you have the desire, realize that the problem and the solution came at the same time. So whatever just sparked in the moment, maybe it triggered you into like a fear or something. Well, use that to identify what you actually want. A lot of times that can be very helpful. A helpful way to look at fear. It shows you that you're believing something that's not true. And then you feel bad because you believe a lie. Well, then, if you maybe say, oh, you got some hopeless thought. No, this is hopeless. They're just going to come and kill everybody, and there's no hope on anything. Then go, well, and then you feel bad. Well, feeling bad is a sign that you're listening to the old man. God feels good. So, and in that very moment, identify, well, what would make me feel good is that God's in control and that everybody's getting what they deserve. Like there are no victims. As much as the old man wants to believe that, we don't know what's been going and racing through people's minds. We don't know what's in people's hearts, and to sit there and assume that they were innocent, and something just happened in happenstance, does not seem to be the way consciousness works, because it seems to be an externalization of your fear. And maybe they are, in the sense that they were unaware that their fear manifested. But a lot of that is what the old man does. It just constantly attracts the fear, because people are just stuck in this fear state of being. Well, then all of a sudden, then you get the fear, then you get the corresponding feeling of feeling like scared or shitty, anxiety or whatever. Well, then next thing you know, it's like, I keep feeling this way because shit keeps going downhill and manifesting. It's like worst case scenarios keep happening. Well, it's like, once you start to understand your thoughts and your feelings and your beliefs start to become externalized, it starts to make a lot more sense why these things, these like worst case scenarios start happening. And it's like, a lot of times, people, especially, if there's a tragedy like a death or, or like a act of violence or something like that, it's like, well, Mike, what about, what about, whatever, whatever, some tragedy, it's like every state exists. So if there's a nightmare scenario, oh, what happened about like some genocide where some soldier came, raped some woman, and killed a baby in a vicious, violent way? You saying that they weren't victimized, and it's like, listen, everything, even those atrocities, look at that as being heaven and hell happening right now. There is a state, it's just part of hell. It's like, yeah, that's hell. What do you expect to happen there? Torment, horror, fear being externalized in worst case scenarios. You can choose to stay in hell, or you can choose not to. So start making the choice, and you make the choice in every moment. And it could be triggering for some people, and maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? I'm just expressing where my perspective is, but I don't feel like I'm wrong. It feels accurate to me. But like especially when it comes to seeing, just from the United States perspective, all of these people injecting God knows what into their bodies to save them from something that's like 99% survivable. Somebody was like saying, well, no, it's not 99%, it's like 98. So what? It's like, I work with power tools. I'm on ladders and shit, dude. It's like, I used to do drugs. I used to hang around dangerous people. I mean, it's like 98%. That's an A+. If I was doing a research paper and got a 98%, that's an A+ on it. You talk to me when it's 50-50, Yeah, but like, I kind of lost my train of thought. But, I just want to get on here and kind of share them things, hopefully, spark you in this moment now to put on states of hope, states of peace, states of joy. If you're in like a chaotic situation, go within, ask God what to do. Ultimately, don't listen to people. Don't listen to this outer thing. It's like, oh, this is an expert out here. Here, listen to the expert. Get get in line. Let's listen to the expert. Hopefully by anything, doing these helps you realize that the expert's within you, and you don't really need to listen to these supposed experts. It's your life. Do your life. The way God created you to live your life. That's between you and God ultimately. But other than that, I think my balance, I gotta do some estimates, do some work things for the handyman business. It's been like all of a sudden just 90 degrees to now it's like 48 degrees and raining, which is annoying because I got 2 projects I'm working on. One is like putting a second coat of waterproof on a deck, which my guy, he went out there the other day, put one coat of it on, said to wait 24 hours, put another coat on. Now it's been delayed to weather, and I have some outside doors to paint and door jambs and trim to do, which now is like I'll probably wait till tomorrow, which kind of sucks because my guy, he's working at another job, which means I'll have to do it. And I don't really feel like I didn't really want to work on Friday or Monday. I know that kind of sounds lazy. It's like, oh, so what? You're saying you want to work a 3-day week? Yeah, maybe. It's like, why not? It's kind of getting into a point, trying to create a self-sustaining system that creates a lot of value for my community that doesn't involve a lot of my time and attention. Being able to create it and then kind of step back and maybe do something different, who knows? I like doing these things, but I don't know if I'd want to do that as like, oh, this is what I'm doing. Maybe it's like a part of it, that'd be one thing. I like playing the guitar too, doing music things, but even doing that, just going these ebbs and flows of like wanting to do things. It's like my wife still wants to do the cafe, and so it'd be nice to when I put it off there like, oh, in spring I'll hire some more guys, because I'll be busy, because there's like where I live there's winter, and so it gets cold, and a lot of the outside work, I don't like doing snow removal shit, and like being outside when it's like 5 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is in Celsius. But yeah, I'd prefer to stay indoors in the winter and kind of work from home ish type things. But it's funny, like in my area, the problem is lack of like motivation for workers. It's like I hear all the time from like business owners and people in my community. It's just like, I can't find any help. It's like there's a factory that just opened in town. It had like 100 and something jobs. I think it paid like $16-17 an hour entry level, which is like the Dairy Queen in town is paying $15 an hour. The jail officers in town are making $13.75 or $14.75, and it's like, would I work at Dairy Queen or would I work at a fucking jail, worrying about getting piss and shit and getting stabbed and all these kind of shit talking things? It's like, but like this factory, a buddy of mine just started working there. He has a barbecue business, but like he's trying to just raise some money up, and so he's got a job to try to buy some shit real quick. And I think he wants to buy a food truck. And so, yeah, like, yeah, he was telling me, he's like, yeah, if you know anybody who's looking for a job, it's really easy. And when he says it's pretty easy, I worked a temp job at a factory where he worked, and that's how we got to know each other. And like, man, that job was fucking nuts. That was a very dangerous job. I worked at like a plastic thermal forming factory, and that plastic, these sheets of plastic would fall in the oven and like just catch fire. And I ended up making a lot of like friends that were black, in that factory, because like when the shit would catch fire, I'd just be like, fuck this, I'm getting out of here, and so like I'd go out, away from the machines. I mean, it would sometimes be so thick with smoke, and who knows what's in plastic, really, and then it's just in the air, all these fumes and everything. And I'd just leave my machine, and it's like, fuck this, and just go where you could breathe. And it was like just me and it's like the black dudes that worked at this factory that were doing that. And like we just like kind of just sit and laugh at shit. And like yeah, there's some guys who'd be like, look at this guy, he thinks he's a hero, just walking around like for $15-16 an hour, being a hero, working, and you couldn't see the fucking shit in front of your face. And it's like, what the fuck is wrong with this dude? And that sparked me. The same guy, he'd like get acetone, or what is it? Yeah, I think it was acetone all over his hands and shit. Not wear gloves, and it's just like, dude, is that worth it? And that factory ended up shutting down. Just it couldn't make a part to fucking. It couldn't do a run of parts at all. Plus it was really dangerous. And then it's like, you had to throw big thick plastic extra pieces. You take a router and cut out the plastic, and you just throw the damn excess in these grinders. And there was a couple times like it like catch on your wrist and just yank like really hard, not hard enough it'd probably lift a grown man into it, but maybe a woman, like or a small guy, it might, if you're like 115 120 pounds or something like that. Yeah, people get burnt frequently. I mean, there's a lot of dangerous. Dude, I got my bell rung many times by like fucking spinning parts and fucking solid metal just cracking me on the head. I about got knocked unconscious one time because the machine just like smacked me in the head so hard. But like yeah, but he was like at a new place, and he's just like, yeah, if you know anybody, all you gotta do is go in there, fill out an application. They do an interview that day. If you can pass a piss test, which they don't even watch you do a piss test, you start the next day. It's just one of those ones that you shake up, and it's just like, oh, yep, you're not on drugs. And yeah, they just give it to you, and you go to the bathroom by yourself. So it's just like you can get away with about anything. And like yeah, and then you start, and then that's like very common where I live, where it's just like, all these open positions, and just a lack of interest in working in general, it seems like, which, I don't really care. It's like, there was a time where I was like getting like food stamps and like unemployment and shit. And, if you do something productive with it, go for it. The only reason I didn't want to be on any of that shit ever again is I just didn't I just don't want the leash. It's like, oh, you got to do what we say. And I wouldn't be shocked, if they start pulling that leash when it comes to like, getting the vax, to be on food stamps and like, yeah, any of these types of like, what do you call them? Whatever, these government programs or whatever. Not to put that out there either. I don't want to put that energy out there. Hopefully those people don't get affected by this shit, but it wouldn't shock me as how I don't know, just one-sided. I don't know, that doesn't sound right, but it's just like, oh, we gotta do this, we gotta get 100% compliance. Like that's not delusional. Good luck, dude. But like with that being said, I think I'm gonna bounce. I'm gonna try to get I got an estimate to do some downspout thing, and then the lady I'm working for now, she wants me to go check out a rental property. Yeah, I guess the tenant's just moved out and he's painted, and so I don't know if I'll get on any of that shit today, but definitely get it in the hopper for next week, and we'll see about how that goes. Other than that, the chickens are still laying about 3 eggs a day, sometimes 4, mostly 3 though, and like I don't know, they should all be laying at this point, so I'm kind of like, they're not pets, so it's like if they're not laying and producing eggs, and because we gotta feed them, and take care of them and clean their fucking thing out, and there's effort and energy that is involved in taking care of these things, and so if they're not producing anything in return, it's just like, and I guess they're too old to eat them, as what my mom said. I guess like meat birds are only 8 weeks, something like that. It's like 2 months, and then eat them, and if they don't go too much over that, then they start tasting gamey or something. I don't know. I feel like I could still eat them. If I was in nature and I was just like hunting and I seen a bird like that, I just fucking no problem. But that's what she says. And so other than that, the turkey, he seems to be doing his turkey thing, and the ducks, they just love water so much. It's so weird. You would think that on some level, I don't know why I would like assume like ducks would just like, I don't know, because they love water. I don't know why they love it so much, but like that's what they are. That's what they do. And so other than that, I think I'm gonna bounce. And so the garden too. Just a quick update on the garden. I mean, it's about harvested. There's still some tomatoes that are turning red, but for the most part, a lot of so we grew what are they called, pigeon gourds. I don't know. They're some birdhouse gourds, I think, and those things turned insanely big. They took up the entire garden. With like 3 plants. They grow like 20 foot long, like wide. Like watermelons are kind of the same, where they vine out. And they do that. Cantaloupes do that too. But like these, it just got insane. It looked like mutant plants. And we got probably, I don't know, 30 gourds that I'm going to drill holes into and make birdhouses. Maybe sell them or get rid of them. Just to do it. And then other than that, we had one watermelon that was yellow, which was surprising. But it wasn't that. It wasn't shit. It was. I have yet to grow a good watermelon, but like we'll see next year, maybe get a good one. But other than that, I think I'll bounce. So thanks everybody for listening, and have a good rest of your now, and God bless.